What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today, June 1st, 2026, is the single most important date in this entire A.J. Brown saga, and I genuinely cannot believe we have finally arrived at this moment. For weeks, for months, every single conversation about this trade has circled back to one date, one deadline, one financial trigger point that everyone on both sides of this negotiation has been waiting for. And that date is today. June 1 is here. The cap split is now available. The financial barrier that was the last remaining obstacle between this deal existing as a rumor and existing as a reality has officially been removed. And the reports dropping this morning are the most electric, the most confident, and the most definitive we have ever seen on this story. So let us break down absolutely everything right now, because the next 24 to 48 hours could change the entire trajectory of the New England Patriots franchise. Let us start with the biggest, boldest, most jaw-dropping statement made about this trade in the last 24 hours, because it came from NBC Sports Boston analyst Michael Holley, and it is the kind of declarative sentence that stops every football fan in their tracks. Holley went on air and said flatly, without any hedging or qualifying language, that the A.J. Brown trade to the New England Patriots is a done deal and is simply waiting to be announced. A done deal. Waiting to be announced. Those are not the cautious, carefully worded statements of someone trying to protect their credibility while speculating about a trade that might happen. Those are the words of someone who has been told by people close to this situation that the outcome is already decided, and the paperwork is essentially a formality. When Michael Holley, who has covered Boston sports for decades and understands what responsible reporting looks like, goes on national television and says done deal, you sit up and you pay attention. And Holley is not alone. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated came out on Friday and reported that a framework is in place for a Brown to the Patriots trade. Breer was careful to note there are still some things to be worked out, but his overall framing could not have been more optimistic. He said on the record that he thinks it would take someone backing out at this point, either the Eagles or the Patriots, for this deal not to happen. Think about how remarkable that framing is. The default outcome, according to Breer, is that this trade gets done. The only way it falls apart is if one side actively chooses to walk away from a framework that is already in place. That is not uncertainty. That is near certainty with a narrow escape hatch that neither side appears to want to use. Tom E. Curran, the longtime Patriots insider at NBC Sports Boston, added a layer to this conversation this week that every New England fan absolutely needs to hear, because his analysis directly addresses the question of whether this trade is even worth making at the reported price. Curran went on air and said the Patriots would be getting out really good in an A.J. Brown deal, even if the compensation ends up being a 2027 or 2028 first-round pick. His argument is straightforward and compelling. Brown is 28 years old, turning 29 this June 30th, meaning he is entering the absolute prime window of a power receiver's career, not declining from it. He is under contract through 2029, giving New England 4 full seasons of his services rather than a one-year rental. Drake May is still on his rookie contract, meaning the Patriots can afford to surround him with premium talent right now without sacrificing their long-term financial flexibility. And the American Football Conference, as currently constructed in 2026, does not have a team that is so dominant and so impossible to beat that New England cannot realistically compete for a championship this season. Giving up a first-round pick 3 years from now for a player of Brown's caliber under those exact circumstances is, according to Curran, an absolute bargain that this organization should not hesitate to make. Now, here's the compensation picture as it stands right now on June 1st. And it is more nuanced and more interesting than the simple one-pick narrative that has dominated the conversation for months. Albert Breer specifically addressed the pick structure this morning and said that if the Patriots ultimately agree to give up a first-round pick, either in 2027 or 2028, he thinks the deal gets done. The creative element that Josina Anderson revealed earlier this week involves a potential swapping of picks within the overall package, meaning New England could send a higher pick to Philadelphia while receiving a lower round selection back to offset the net cost. That kind of structure gives Howie Roseman the premium draft capital he can point to publicly as justification for moving one of the most physically gifted receivers in the sport, while simultaneously giving Elliott Wolf a mechanism to reduce the true cost of the acquisition to something that feels more proportional to the actual risk involved. Both sides get to frame this deal as a win, and that is exactly the kind of creative compromise that gets blockbuster trades across the finish line when two smart front offices are negotiating seriously. And the Patriots have been actively preparing their financial house for this exact moment. Guard Mike Onwenu restructured his deal just days ago, reducing his 2026 cap charge by $7.5 million while receiving $10 million in new guarantees. That restructure did not happen by accident. You do not voluntarily adjust a veteran lineman's contract the week before a blockbuster trade is expected to close unless you are specifically creating the cap room needed to absorb an incoming player's salary. New England's cap planners have been working backward from Brown's $29 million 2026 salary for months, and every financial move this organization has made this offseason, from the Stephon Diggs release to the Antonio Gibson cut to the Garrett Bradbury trade to the Onwenu restructure, has been a deliberate step in a carefully planned sequence designed to land right here, right now, on June 1 with enough space to pull this deal off cleanly. Drake May addressed the Brown trade rumors directly at Oda's earlier this week, and his exact words are worth knowing even if his diplomatic framing tried to stay carefully neutral. May said, "If he ends up being on our team, great." Now on the surface that sounds like a non-answer. But read it again with the context of who is saying it and when. Your franchise quarterback, the player whose development and success this entire organization is built around, is openly acknowledging a Jay Brown's arrival as a real possibility that he is actively hoping for. He did not say we are focused on our current guys and leave it at that. He said if he ends up on our team, great. That is a quarterback telling you he wants this receiver. That is Drake May making his preference known in the most diplomatically acceptable way available to him while cameras and recorders are pointing at his face. And when your quarterback is openly rooting for a trade to happen, the locker room culture around that trade is going to be electric from the first day Brown walks through the door. The bottom line on June 1, 2026 is this. Michael Holley says it is a done deal waiting to be announced. Albert Breer says a framework is in place, and it would take someone backing out for it not to happen. Adam Schefter has been saying for 7 weeks straight that the Patriots are the clear frontrunner, and he is not changing his position regardless of whatever noise comes out of other teams. Tom Curran says New England would be getting out really, really good in this deal, even at a first-round pick price. Mike Onwenu restructured his contract this week to create the cap room needed. And Drake May is at Otis quietly telling the world he wants a Jay Brown on his team. Every single data point is pointing at the same outcome. Today is the day the calendar catches up to the conclusion that insiders have been describing for months. The deal is coming. It could drop tonight. It could drop tomorrow. But it is coming. Do not miss the announcement that is about to shake the entire NFL world. Subscribe to this channel right now and smash that notification bell, because the moment a Jay Brown is officially a New England Patriot, I will have the full instant reaction and complete breakdown ready for you immediately. Drop a comment below right now and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that this trade gets announced before the weekend is over? I want to see those numbers in the comments. Like this video, share it with every Patriots fan you know, and I will see you in the very next one. Let us go, New England!